guys, it's Meg. What's up? What's poppin'? Welcome to the podcast. Known as one of the greatest writers of the 19th century, Jane Austen published 4 books during her lifetime. But there's some controversy around her and her death. And we're going to talk about it. And originally I was like, we're going to do a Jane Austen podcast episode because there was that quote that I heard saying like, I'm 27, I have no prospects, I'm not married, and I'm frightened. And I was going to quote that in this podcast. And then when I looked it up, it turns out Jane Austen actually never wrote that. It was just in one of the movie adaptations of it, which is crazy. I thought Jane Austen wrote it. I don't think I've ever read that book. And if I did, it was in high school and I don't remember it. But this is what I'm talking about. These book and movie adaptations are getting crazy. And we are going to be talking about that this season. I'm very excited. Not sure if we're going to talk about it next week, though. I didn't write it down. But anyways, we're skirting. We're going to talk about Jane Austen. We're going to talk about who she is. And then we're going to talk about some controversy about her. And then maybe list some fun facts. So my first source I have is Britannica.com. And this is where I just got like biographical information about her, which we actually don't know a lot about Jane Austen. And there's a very specific reason why. So she was born December 16th of 1775 in Steventon, Hampshire, England. New Hampshire? Is it Hampshire or Hampshire? Anyways, skirting. She died July 18th of 1817 in Winchester, Hampshire. I'm really questioning how to pronounce it because in the US there's New Hampshire, but now that I'm looking at the writing, it looks like it should be Hampshire. But also if we talk about why when people came here all those years ago, claiming to be the first people to be in America and whatnot, and they decide to name everything, it's literally New England, New Hampshire. Please be so for real. They just literally took their old hometowns and just put the word new in front of it. They were not creative. Unlike Jane Austen, who was very creative. She's known as one of the first to give a distinct modern character through her use of ordinary people in everyday life. While she was alive, she actually only published 4 of the novels. That was Sense and Sensibility from 1811, Pride and Prejudice, 1813, Mansfield Park, 1814, and Emma, 1815, which is crazy that they were published so back to back and right before she passed away. That's actually crazy. Hey, what's up? It's Editing Meg. So I got curious to see how old Jane was when she got her books published, because I feel like there's a pressure in society to do all these things in your early 20s, but Jane was in her late 30s. Her first novel was published at 36, and then it went 38, 39, and 40. So she was past that time that society says you should be successful by, which means it is never too late to go after your dreams. But after she died, she had 2 different books. One she had just finished, and one that she finished a while ago but is never published. So her brother Henry and sister Cassandra are said to have published Persuasion and Northanger Abbey together in 1817. And when they published these together, it was also saying they included a little author's note where they revealed that all these books were written by a woman, their sister. During her time frame, women weren't allowed to write. Women were supposed to just get married and have kids, so she had to write under an alias. She is one of the 8 siblings from her parents. There were 6 boys and 2 girls, which meant that her and her sister Cassandra were super, super close. They were also pretty close in age too. And both Jane and Cassandra are said to have never married, which was very uncommon during this time. Here's a little fun fact of one of her novels, Northanger Abbey. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I feel like I'm not, but it was actually originally named Susan. And in 1803, they sold it to a publisher, Richard Crosby, for only £10, which like back then, that was a lot of money. So in January of 1817, the same year she was going to pass away, so literally 7 months later, she passed away. But back in January, she began writing a novel that she called Sanditon, Sanditon, which was, and I quote, a robust and self-mocking satire on health resorts and invalidism, but it remains unfinished. Obviously, we know why. And that is all I took from that first source. We just went a little biographical. The second source I have is BBC.com, and it is, the truth is, she did the right thing. The mystery of why Jane Austen's letters were destroyed by her own sister. Let's put some spooky music here, because here's where the controversy behind Jane Austen, one of the most famous authors of her time that we know of. So it is estimated that Jane wrote over 1,000 letters in her lifetime, but we only have 160 of them. And you may be asking, why do we only have 160 out of 1,000? That's a big difference. It is because years after her death in 1817, her sister Cassandra went and burned almost all her letters, and nobody knows why. And it is known as like this huge big scandal, and a lot of historians are so mad that her sister did this, and this is why we know basically nothing besides basic facts about Jane. We don't know anything about her personality, her likes, her dislikes, all because her sister went and burned all those letters. Even though so many historians over the years are so mad at Cassandra for doing this, honestly, it is such a girl's girl move, and I support it. She really had her sister's back. And yes, it's very unfortunate that we don't know much about this amazing author, but I feel like she did this in good intentions, and I support it. So there's obviously some theories behind why her sister would go and burn those letters. Some say were that Jane was having an affair. Some were saying that Jane was actually a lesbian. Some were saying that it was actually just so much family gossip and they were just talking so much crap that her sister didn't want that out in the world, that she was scared of that reaching the surface of light. There were letters that were sent between Jane, and I forgot to write the man's name down, but she had a little lover. She was entertaining this man. There was a lot of letters between her and this man, which we found out that she was pretty funny, because some of those I think were still around. But she ended up never marrying this man because she didn't want to give up her writing. She said, "No, I'm good. I would rather write than be with you." Pretty sure the man I was referring to was Tom Lefroy, but she was also apparently engaged, and I don't even think it was a full day, to a man named Harris Big Wither, but she called it off the next morning. But also, some were saying that years later, there was this other author named Francis Burney, and his letters somehow got out there, and people were talking so much crap about him that she was scared her sister's name would get dragged through the mud, so she just went and burned them. And then other conspiracy theories are that the letters were revealing how Jane died, and so she burned them for that reason, because that's the next very controversial thing, is nobody knows how or what killed Jane Austen. There's rumors that, because this isn't from this specific article, I was reading so many different articles, but what I was finding was that some people believe Jane Austen was actually poisoned because they found a lot of arsenic in her body after. But then I found a new article that was saying the glasses that Jane would wear, because she was farsighted, nearsighted. The girly pop was blind. She needed glasses to see. And apparently the glasses she wore had arsenic in it, so people are saying that she was accidentally poisoning herself. Others say that she died from an illness. Like, what's the one that, like, killed basically all the Brontes? Ammonia? No. We're looking it up. There was, like, this one disease that literally wiped out every single Bronte sibling. And it was very popular during their lifetime. Yeah, I know she died. That's another one we could talk about. We could talk about the Bronte family, because they are all over the tuberculosis. I'm not even joking. I'm pretty sure literally every single person in the Bronte family died of tuberculosis. It was crazy. How old was Jane Austen when she died, though? I forgot to... She was 41, which at that time, that was pretty old. Okay, we're back. We're locking in. Another thing people are suggesting might have killed Jane Austen was that she had this disease that was known as Addison's disease, or it could have even been lupus. But those are like the two big controversies behind Jane Austen. Is one, her sister burnt all... How many letters? We'll just say... We're going to do some math. I need a calculator. Let's just say... I'm going to pull a calculator. I'm pretty sure there has to be a calculator on this laptop. Here it is. Let's just say... I can't do basic math, guys. We talked about that in the last podcast episode about the literacy issues, and then I said that there was also like a math issue. I'm one of those people. We'll just say she wrote 1,000 letters. That's it. Only 160 survived. So 840 letters are missing. And she just literally threw out every single letter, burned them, set them on fire. So nobody knows what happened, why her sister burnt those letters. What was she trying to hide? Was she even trying to hide something? Nobody knows. And also nobody knows because Cassandra was also a woman and people did not keep proper records of women back in those days. So nobody knows what happened to those letters and nobody knows what killed Jane Austen. Some people think she was murdered. Some people think she just had a disease. But before we end this episode, I did find a third source known as austenprose.com. And this is 10 facts you may not know about Jane Austen in her novels. And I thought that'd be the perfect way to end this novel. This isn't a book, Megan. Oh my goodness. I need to go back to bed. Perfect way to end this episode. So number 1, I feel like this isn't uncommon to know, but they said that she was an outlier. She lived a life atypical to her class and gender because she never married or had kids, and all she wanted to do was focus on her writing. Number 2, she had agency before it was, and I quote, they wrote, hip. They said her brother helped negotiate contracts with her publishers because, again, women weren't allowed to do any of this stuff, so her brother helped her. And then it said this, she earned £575, which back in 2022, it was equivalent to $74,500. And she published anonymously because, again, women couldn't publish back then. So for her first novel, she did, and I quote, write by a lady, which I think that's so funny and so iconic. And then after that, every novel just happened to be written as by the author of Sense and Sensibility. Number 3, the next 2 are actually crazy to me. Her most popular novel made her the least money during her lifetime. And her most popular novel now is said to be Pride and Prejudice. And it said that she actually sold the copyright to a Thomas Egerton. And it was like, for back then, it was a lot of money, but for now, it was not that much money she sold it to him for. But then, I didn't finish the guy's name. His name was Thomas Egerton Whitebolt. I can't read my own handwriting. But after she died, her sister got the copyright credits back so they could keep her works all together. And then number 4, going off of that, her least popular novel made her the most money during her lifetime, and they're saying her least popular novel is Mansfield Park. Number 5, all of her heroines were married, yet she never got married. And people were saying that the reason why she never got married is because during her lifetime, people were getting married for like money and opportunities, and they weren't getting married because they were in love. And they were saying that's why her characters were all getting married because she could write about love so well. Something along the lines of that. Number 6, Sense and Sensibility was published on commission. I'm going to be honest, I like kind of understood this when they were explaining the math, but I also kind of wasn't. The math wasn't mathing for me. Number 7, Emma is dedicated to the Prince Regent even though she didn't like him. And it is because she was said to have was invited to his house. Something happened where she met him. And he made a comment saying, you should dedicate your next novel to me. And so what did she do? This is so iconic. He had a nickname. His nickname was Prinny. And that's what people called him who didn't like him. So that is the name she dedicated it to. And it is said that she dedicated it, got published out there, whatever. And no response ever reached her about if he liked it or not. Number 8, this is also pretty funny. This is what I'm saying, I wish we had those letters because she seems like a pretty funny and rebellious woman, but in the best way. Several of her anti-heroes in her novels resemble her cousin Eliza de Feuillide, Feuillide. Yeah, she didn't really like those girly pop that much, and so every character was based off of her. I think that's so funny. Number 9, she was a fashionista and a foodie, is what they're saying. And number 10, she is buried in a cathedral even though she was not royalty, a politician, an aristocrat, or exalted in her lifetime. I don't know what exalted means, so if editing Meg can come in with that definition. According to dictionary.com, exalted means, and I quote, raised or elevated as in rank or character, of high station. And then the second definition they gave is, and I quote, noble or elevated, lofty. Thank you for that. But that is everything we know about Jane Austen and the controversy behind her. And before we end this episode, we are going to pull our daily affirmation. We're using the From the Heart affirmation deck by Anna Stark. So let's cue some ASMR shuffling that's never ASMR shuffling, but maybe one day it will be. I hope this time that I can actually shuffle and get some ASMR in there, because the last episode I shuffled and a card instantly flew out. But of course, now watch this time. A card's not going to even pop out. I also kind of want to do you guys an episode on ASMR. I think that'd be really funny. Come on. Oh, we got one. Wait, and it goes so well with this. I think Jane would love this affirmation. All right. Cue the drum roll, please. My heart is open to freely expressing love. That is perfect. I love that. So, the next time that you see Jane Austen in a bookstore, or maybe wherever you can find books, just know she only published 4 of those novels in her lifetime. She has no clue 2 of her novels were published afterwards. And there's some controversy regarding her and her sister and even her death. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Hey Guys, It's Meg. You can follow Hey Guys, It's Meg _podcast on Instagram for updates and good times. Come back next Monday at 9 a.m. where we're going to talk about, I don't know, 1 second. I didn't write it down. I just put a star there because I haven't decided yet, because I'm still working on what we're going to do this season. So I guess it's going to be a surprise what we're talking about next week, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'll see you all on the flip side. Peace out, Girl Scouts.